What's up and welcome back, fellow Siege spectators and players. One final game, one final match of the evening, and it is the very end of the Bandscoast triple header. I'm still the Reverend Whiskey Glitter, and joining me on the desk for this last match, still Goose, still so serious.
This has been a very serious day for Bandscoast. Starting out their day against Friendship Team, beating them out 7-3. Moving on to Reality TV, also beating them in regulation. And now the last team that stops them in the place for at least today to get the first seed in Group B is 1HP Esports, a team that has also had a quite fair share of their own problems, now go up against a very brand new and consistent looking Bandscoast.
Serious, let's address the elephant in the room. 1HP was sent back to the drawing board after their last two losses, and they were tough ones, a 2-7 and a 1-7. They made some of those roster changes, bringing on Stocky and Demented, formerly of the Army of Five. So my biggest question is it going to be enough? Can the experience of the team finally catch them their first win against this on-fire Bandscoast?
I don't know, and I don't think Bandscoast is going to be the team to really test out that theory because of how hot they've been looking and just with how many issues that 1HP have had throughout these first two games. There's a lot that they need to work on. They need to really work on converting a lot of their entries into round wins because currently they have a 22% conversion going into today. And that's the kind of thing where it's just like, okay, I talk about conversion a lot, especially back on Element. It's a thing I love to bring up. But overall, it's a measure of how good are you consistently with in terms of your fundamentals, and looks like 1HP still need to really work on that. They're trying to kind of get players up to speed. Some of their players are newer IGLs and going on to Consulate, a game that they lost 1-7 to Slime Belief. That's gonna be a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna be a lot for 1HP to have to work through, especially with Bandscoast starting on the defense. And I mean, just going back to their game against Slime Belief, they had a really tough time clearing out a lot of these positions very consistently because this is a map that you need to go through a lot of map control just to even get remotely close to the bomb site.
So, Goose, in the immortal words of Twitch chat, all hell King stomping. Dubbed as the chosen one, and the momentum is flowing. Is Game 3 all but secured for this team?
I don't want to completely ride out. I do want to also point out that before today's matches actually took place, Bandscoast was the worst defensive rated team, both in their recovery rate and their overall win rate, only being beat by 1HP themselves. Obviously not having the same opportunity to play two games before this, but again, it really puts into perspective on how both of these teams have had both of their struggles. 1HP, or not 1HP, but Stompin' and Bandscoast really just been going through their opponents, finding their stride, and it's going to be the exact same opportunity and chance for 1HP to find their own.
Okay, so put you both on the spot here right now. Who takes it? Goose, we'll start with you.
Honestly, I'm going to have to go with the safe pick of Bandscoast. If they start to let the ball drop, if they get a little bit too comfortable, do a little wacky plays, I think it could potentially get, a little bit close, but I just don't think it's going to go anywhere but a Bandscoast win.
Serious? Thoughts?
I'm going to have to go the same way. Otherwise, I think Twitch chat is going to flame me afterwards as soon as they hear me say this. But so it's going to have to be Bandscoast. There's just no question about it.
Okay, lobby ready. It is time to get there. Goose, Serious, give us that one final hype match for the evening.
Been a very long road today. Not only today, but throughout the entirety of the group stage for Bandscoast. This was the very first major event with this iteration with Stompin'. The first week, a lot of questions were asked, and now I would say the second week, but it's only one day. Played the rest of their matches. This is their last matchup. After today, they have no more games in group stage. Will have to play in the playoffs no matter what seed they get. But again, this is a opponent that sure on paper doesn't look that scary, but still can test them on quite a bit of things.
Definitely just trying to speed run through the rest of their group stage games, just trying to secure playoffs as fast as possible, it would seem. Because I think we talked about in the pre-show that they're basically locked in. There's no question about it. It'd be very tough for anybody to really leapfrog them. Technically, Friendship Team can still do that even with their one loss against them today. They can still accumulate enough points in regulation that they would be the top place seed, but ultimately just comes down to how the rest of those games go. And now Bandscoast with the opportunity to take either that first place and just surely lock in their playoff spot against 1HP with a lot of things to work on. Map ban phase going about as expected. Deimos is a bit of an outlier typically, but definitely makes sense for a map like this where he loves to go down below, try to catch anybody, especially on console meeting, from out underneath them as they're trying to go for the initial window execute.
And this is a really funny matchup for me, because if we saw this matchup last week, we'd have a completely different opinion on what way this could go.
Sure.
And I think the fact that Bandscoast have been able to completely 180, I called back to the exact same thing that Beast Coast did in Stage 1 after just 2 weeks of Stage 1, completely flipping up how they play Siege. We saw that, especially in the second map, touched on how Merc took a timeout very early on. I think it's a situation of that is really the factor that allows for this team to have such a high skill ceiling. Not the raw mechanics on how good stomping can, beat pro players in a 1v1, but the sheer fact that this team is so adaptable, both in and out of the lobby, and it can fix problems in the snap of a finger.
And that's kind of the big thing is that we've noticed throughout the entire day is just how much more reserved, how much more passive they have been, but still enabling a little bit more aggression, but doing it in a very smart way rather than just a guy ratting in a corner, just kind of catching people off guard. No, that's not the way they've been doing it. They're really enabling with the information, getting their entries into a position that they can just get kill after kill after kill and really make the other team have to work to fight to clear these positions. So 1HP, starting off in the attack, I've already said that there's going to be a lot that they need to do. Try to make sure that Bandscoast are forced either back to the bomb site, forced to get into their cutoff positions, but it's still gonna have to be a lot because this is not an easy map to do that. There is so much hard cover that you really need to clear. So starting off with opening up that catering wall is just that very first step. Now it looks like they may need to rotate around to clear out that admin side.
Yeah, we've called into question quite a lot of things today, and the Consulate as a map in itself is a very difficult mountain to climb over. 1HP doing a fantastic job very early on, just kind of clearing these simple mistakes. You can see that Rice just looking for an opportunity, but nobody will be there. And to be fair, even though they haven't been able to get any map control or a pick, 1HP has done a fantastic job of just not getting over aggressive, just starting to work these windows in these external positions, waiting to potentially bait out a Bandscoast player playing a little bit too aggressive.
But nobody from Bandscoast is really giving them that many opportunities. 1HP still not really getting into the building aside from Gold, who's worked his way into Visa office. He's the only player that's actually in the building. The rest of 1HP is just still up on the roof, just kind of waiting for an opportunity, trying to find those picks of, just like you said, an over-aggressive player just kind of getting caught off guard. But Bandscoast are playing so reserved, they're just wasting so much time for 1HP, just falling back further and further into their setup.
Loading mag!
I mean, and to be fair, 1HP not being able to find anything. You can see that they're using a lot of attacking utility, opening a lot of these angles, trying to clear this map control. Demente is just working his way inside of Coffin, but Bandscoast just doing a phenomenal job of letting the map just traversing around, do the work for them, not even having to go out of their way to find anything. Stalking, potentially looking for a pick, isn't able to see the player prone, is able to still find the head of Franklin though. Aiden is able to answer back. Another one from Stompin. Gold's there to shut it down. 1HP, they just can't find a way into the bomb site now. It's even back and forth for both teams. Aiden with a double in the round. Gold trying to find anything. He's the player, the spearhead, the diffuser now out of the board, out of the map, so far away, disconnected. Smoke canister even on top of it. Gold almost losing his life. 8 seconds on the clock. Dement is able to find Vic Bands, get a 1v1. Aiden, a triple in the round, is going to force Gold to get the plant down. The clock hits 0. Gold gets off the plant, and Bandscoast, even if it was a close round to start us off, they still start theirs with a win.
I mean, just a very valiant attempt to play those trades as effectively as they did. That's something I really like to see out of them in that very first round. Granted, it's still a loss just due to the fact that they did not clear very many positions from Bandscoast. It just kind of enabled them to play further and further into their power positions, just playing into much more hard cover that you're having to just dive deeper into the bomb site for 1HP to actually effectively clear, try to get into a safe position to plant. With so many things out of the way, they just wasted so much time on the initial clear. They didn't really get in until a minute left to actually take admin control, push their way through that soda machine hallway, actually force their way through that reception desk. And by that point, Bandscoast have already fallen so far back, they're playing just around that console desk, by bathroom, and there's not really much else that 1HP can do other than just try to find those kills, try to find any over-aggressive players, but Bandscoast, yet again, just play very passively, play very reserved, and just let them trade each other out until it's a 1v1 and there's no time left.
And I think that round specifically from Aiden, it really goes back into harp on your point that you made, that, you know, these players are so really even-ended. Actually, might have been Iris who made it. I apologize. Not to get you too confused. But he made a point where, like, sure, Stompin is a phenomenal player. He is very consistent, but players like Aiden, who continuously put up numbers as big or even bigger in some cases than Stompin, are really underrated. It goes to show on how deep this team is, especially in their capability as a problem. And Franklin shutting down Gold with the C4 to start it off, getting rid of the Buck as the very first pick on Consulate, and no immediate response from 1HP to back it up.
And still getting all this info and shooting out those Hibana pellets onto that Visa hatch, just making sure that nobody can just take a deep dive into that basement area of the bomb site. Nobody can go down electrical. It's just gonna have to be a full grunt push straight through this Visa doorway and through lobby, as they're kind of now splitting the bit of their focus. But Dementez is just wasting so many of these pellets on this one hatch. He's not even trying to clear out Aiden. He's just letting him shoot out all these pellets and not doing a damn thing for it. And he gets ran out on top of that, letting his teammate to die on the windows. And just now all of a sudden, it's a horrible situation for 1HP.
Signature on the Buck, trying to find potentially an answer back, but the aggressive play from the Bandit finds not only one, but now a triple for Franklin. It's all up to Dementez. The Hibana with the diffuser sees the Legion, swings, but cannot win his one, and it's Vic Bands to shut it down. In the prophecy, as of now, of Bandscoast running away with this map, has started out to look exactly like that.
I don't know what the full idea from 1HP was, because it looked like they were going to go for a stock standard kind of top-down clear, just kind of maybe poke around a little bit, try to open up as many angles as possible to try to pressure out any of these Bandscoast players, but just letting so many Hibana pellets get shot out of that Visa hatch, just letting him sit out of that position, and then on top of that, just letting him run out as soon as you walk away, not having any info for Stockin, who's just kind of a lone duck on the windows, having no sense of a help whatsoever. Just 1HP got very desperate at the very end of that round, just trying to force their way down a singular hallway, kind of funneling themselves right into Bandscoast's arms, and just leaving themselves with no real other option other than just kill everybody in sight. I mean, 1HP, we've already talked about that they need to kind of change things up, and that is not exactly the way I would do it.
Now, I'm not exactly sure if you are aware with how experienced not only all these players but Stompin is, but Stompin has started playing PC with mouse and keyboard 2 months ago, and he is already making a deep impact. And I think we've talked about a lot of Stompin throughout all of today. Also, players like Aiden and Franklin having fantastic games, not only in this map, but also in others, and this overall roster has just been waiting for their time. 1HP also, a team that not a lot of people expected to make it through the qualifiers, doing a really hardship battle, beating teams, almost having to beat Karn and Co. And it's a factor where, sure, you know, we've talked about how they are the underdog. On paper, they shouldn't win this matchup, but they got here for a reason. They have found some semblance of a working system. Even without all the trouble in the group stage, they have been able to work their way here.
Now it's just a matter of proving exactly why you deserve to be in this spot. So far, down 2-0 against Bandscoast, who have just been on fire these last 3 maps, even starting off these first couple of rounds on Consulate. Just have to see if they can continue to ride that wave of momentum as it sure does seem like that. But Slash does take down Stompin'. Very aggressive swing out onto the console window, shuts down that Legion. Now he can't use some of those goo mines, even though he has one less technically now, thanks to that latest nerf. But still, that leaves a little bit more flexibility for 1HP to not have to worry about dodging all those goo mines. And still, Vic Band's on the hunt, just waiting for a swing out, but gets shut down by Stockin, who's just waiting for the opportunity.
I mean, what a phenomenal little bait there. You can see that Vic understood that there was a player over by Piano, waiting for any sound cue. Jump in was that sound cue, but it was a bait. A phenomenal little play there that was able to get a second for 1HP. And now, giving Bandscoast a little bit of a difficult spot here. 3v5, you can see Franklin trying to make his way up, but just not being able to find anything.
The only player that's kind of just still kind of poking at this flank opportunity is Aiden, who's now going to actually, I think, rotate all the way upstairs, just try to make it difficult for 1HP to keep all eyes on them. If they know that this is going to be a 5v2 on the bomb site, they may just completely rush into this. I think they've already got that main wall open, so now it's just a matter of getting that information, getting the pings onto these last couple of players, and just not letting that one flanker of Aiden just get the opportunity to go for that flank later, but he strikes immediately.
Franklin with another, a 5v3 now turned into a 3v3. On top of that, the vertical above now in the control of Bandscoast. Rice may be all alone, a C4 from Franklin to shut down Signature. Franklin still down, a nice kill from Rice, now essentially a 1v1. Still 20 seconds left on the board, gets shot up from the hatch, is aware of the position. Stalking Ball just has to find a safe place, able to eventually shut down Franklin, remove the factor of any info. The C4 comes out, isn't able to find anything. Stockin trying to get this plant down. A ping is in the hands of Aiden. Just trying to play this swing, trying to play this pillar situation correctly. A swing out from Stock won't result in anything, but the shots from Aiden are good. And what looked like could have been a first round for 1HP, a hard-fought battle from Bandscoast in a huge round from Aiden. It's them now, their third in a row.
And this is something I talked about in the pre-show, is just getting those injuries to matter in the late round. They were not able to convert that early kill onto Stompin' all the way up top, clearing out a lot of the roamers that were still on the board for Bandscoast, forcing them, some of them back completely to the bomb site, leaving only Aiden to still tempt that possibility and just wait for his time to strike. And they just wasted so much time getting into that position. Turns out that they didn't even get that main wall open other than just hard breach canister, just allowing that hop in. But they try to force their way completely through that yellow doorway into pillar. There's just no other real option other than 1HP just forcing their way through. And then when they did, they let Aiden strike from up above, hitting that flank opportunity at the perfect time, because they just set up for so long, even though they should have probably realized that it's going to be very weak. If they just double up with each other, they would have had a better opportunity. But they send in the Blackbeard alone. They send in a couple other players in alone. There's just not a sense of team synergy in that final execute, and that really costed 1HP in a prime opportunity to get around under the belt.
Again, I spoke about a couple of rounds before that Aiden has been a very, not necessarily, underwhelming player, but a very consistent player right next to Stomp, and a player that a lot of people just overlook, and he's really pushing the story of how much value he adds, not only individually, but specifically to this Bandscoast roster. He's Stomping also just getting a little bit of a roam off, trying to try something new, something that I really do think that, Bandscoast has been at it. If they have a player that has, relatively slow start, they'll put him on a different position, maybe a different operator, try to give him a change of scenery, a new opportunity. And so far, with this slow attack coming out from 1HP, again, just not a whole lot of early round opportunities for Bandscoast to shut down anybody.
They're just waiting for that one small opportunity, just try to find a singular person, possibly on rappel, catch them off guard, not let them get set up for that eventual execute. That's going to be the thing that they have to shut down. Dementez coming in from this admin side, and Gold trying to poke at the Visa entrance, but it's immediately going to run into Stompin', just working his way in through that side. But Aiden getting the shutdown onto Stockin, who's trying to work his way in through that lobby, immediately gets stopped in his tracks, as now these last two players are going to try to even progress even further. They're just waiting for the opportunity to kill again, and they do it again. Aiden is unstoppable on the roam.
I mean, if you just continue to feed the hot hand, if you continue to give these 1v1s after 1v1s, Leaden James, just like his counterpart in the NBA, LeBron James, will eat it up. That's exactly what he wants. You could even see the player on Repel a little bit scared to take that engagement. Now down to players, little to no opportunities. 1 HP, they have to make a move, and relatively quick if they want to try to find a way back into this round.
We still have 2 Rotero drones from Slash that they can try to clear out some of this utility, as we've lost complete visual.
No.
It's gonna, I would have to imagine it's just gonna be kind of coordinating the yellow push, try to get somebody else to kind of move in from Spiral, try to maybe see if he can come in from a backstab. We finally get visual again, but they're just running straight into the crossfires at Bandscoast. It is gonna be very hard for them to clear this.
Yeah, now a 1v5, 2 big kills from Stomp, and finally finding his sense, his stride, heating up, now putting Slash in a 1v5. Everybody on Bandscoast, they know where he is. Aiden takes a couple of bits of damage from his teammates. Slash is able to find one. Simply will just be an exit frag, and the player who's gone huge throughout this entire first half, throughout the entire round, 1HP is able to shut it down, and now at least put Bandscoast in a position to get a 4-2 half, but with that timeout coming out, serious, it's looking more like a 5-1 or a 6-0.
I mean, I honestly don't know what you really talk about for 1HP other than just they need to work together more. That is the big thing that I keep coming back to, is just so many individual plays, trying to be a bit of that hero, trying to salvage some of these rounds and just even get some of them going in the first place. That first kill from Aiden onto Stockin, just coming in from lobby all by himself. I mean, yeah, sure, you got the early drones on him, you knew that he was around that area, but having no help to back you up, when you know that he's kind of on a solo lurk, just no real other help other than stomping somewhat nearby, that's not exactly a good recipe for success. You're just kind of letting them just kind of enable some of their best gunners to do exactly what they do best, frag you before you even step foot into the building, and 1HP just keep making that same exact mistake. So I really hope that they've kind of resolved some of those issues with that timeout, try to play a little bit more around each other, because in the small situations where they've done that, I feel like they've been able to kind of take down some of those roamers. We saw that one play of Stockin kind of quote unquote baiting out his teammate, hopping in the hallway window, taking down that player Vic Bands by Spiral Staircase earlier, and that was a good bit of coordination that we saw from 1HP, but we just have not really seen that consistently throughout this.
Yeah, a sense that if you just give isolated gunfight after isolated gunfight, especially to how Bandscoast has been playing today, I mean, you know the result. 2v1, 3v1, the player dies. But also, it's kind of a factor where 1HP don't really have any pressure on their shoulders. They're in kind of a situation where they're in elimination. If they lose this here today, it is more than likely they will be eliminated. Almost, but confirming it. So just using that to kind of just play a little bit free. And because they've played a little bit free, they've made quite a bit of mistakes. As you spoke about, there are some glimpses, some small hero plays, some small, good things to talk about, but it's nothing to really build up into a round to win.
And we're just seeing so many more players from Bandscoast try to get aggressive onto this Visa window. This may be a 3-2-1 as soon as they hear this Maverick Torch, try to bury this out. But actually, Signature trying to block the Maverick from getting shot out kind of works a little bit. He does take a little bit of damage, unfortunately. Not able to open up that wall quite as effectively, but still, all this pressure coming out from Bandscoast, and they still can't get the secret wall open.
I mean, yeah, sure, you're not able to get the very first pick, but you do push the entirety of 1HP. 1HP is a roster that if you apply just a little bit of pressure, just, put the hot knife on their skin just a little bit, they'll fall back, and because of that, they're not going to be able to get this single wall.
They didn't shoot the
Franklin
default
with a C4 on the exact same window he did before. As he spoke about before, default still on the board. Aiden shuts down Dementes, get a couple of shots onto him, just trying to find the kill on the Stockin balls. Misses the nade somehow, doing a phenomenal job just playing around these players. He finds the hand on the Stockin balls. 1 HP, a 2v4 or a 2v5 even. Still haven't been able to get that single wall open. Another player, the Blackbeard, trying to find anything, trying to salvage this round, but with the diffuser now being picked up, just not a whole lot going into favor, but Slash is able to find one stop and gets the trade back, and it's Aiden to finish it off. 5-0 for Bandscoast and 1HP. Everything falling apart at Tellers.
I mean, Goose, what do I say other than shoot default cams, please? Otherwise, it's the exact same kind of things I've been saying before. Bandscoast just playing around the information because of the fact that 1HP just did not deny any of it. They know exactly what kind of take they're going for. There's just so much audio indicating that they're going from that secret Mav torch, trying to use all of their resources onto one end of the map. It is so one-dimensional that Bandscoast almost sent all 5 players at to one position and just focused surely on that. And there's nothing else from 1HP. There's no adaptability afterwards. The first take, they try to force it yet again and again and again. Even after Maverick got pressured out, shot a little bit after trying to open that wall. I get that was your first initial read, but you don't have to keep forcing it through. You can rotate around, try to go somewhere else, but Bandscoast, realizing the fact that they're still sticking to that initial take, just focus all their players onto one gun site, and all they have to do is frag out from there.
I mean, there's really only so much you can do with 1HP. Not only do you have so many problems in yourself as a roster, but when you're going up a Bandscoast team like this that has found out how to play their system, gotten 2 big wins against probably their 2 most important opponents, it's like a rabid dog running at you, looking at you like a fresh piece of meat, and 1HP continuing to put these 1VXs on a platter, not being able to deal with Aiden. 12-1 throughout 5 rounds. There's not more that I need to say that he's had a phenomenal game and that 1HP have no answer for it.
You know the worst part is that Rice and Vic have ultimately not technically done a whole lot, and yet it's almost, if not the same, if not worse than 1HP. It's just talking about how bad it is going for 1HP is that they're having some of the same stat lines as 2 of Bandscoast players, and yet look at the score line. It is 5-0, and nothing is going right. They're able to find one of Aiden just trying to run away, and he is able to actually find another one. Demented is having none of this. He's just running straight at these Bandscoast players, trying to clear them as fast as possible.
I talked about how 1HP really needed to play this with no pressure on their shoulders, just running free and wild, and Dementez taking my words to heart exactly what he has done in this round. Triple for him now, shutting down Franklin. A little bit of a pick from Franklin, or not Franklin, but Vic Bands rather, and now with a double pressure with Rice, it gives him the kill. Rice is eventually shut down by the player over by the window. But as he rotates away, this gives Vic Bands the opportunity to his teammate, a player downstairs, just not looking at him. And what's going on? A 5v2. Vic Bands has now carved out an opportunity for a 2v2. The bomb site, though, is in the control of 1HP. Still an opportunity to potentially get this plant down. But with the looming threat of these additional players, a drop down from Rice, shuts down Slash, doesn't even know he's there. The bomb does go off. Dementez tries to find one. He does find Rice, a quad for him in the round. Full up to Vic Bands. He needs to go huge. The blind, but it's Vic Bands to shut him down. Even with the 4K, almost an ace, it's just not enough. It looked like it could have been the only round for 1HP, but Bandscoast, they complete the flawless half.
I'm mad. I'm mad. My disappointed dad is coming out, Goose. I'm showing my young status. You haven't heard that a lot because it doesn't typically come out, because nobody typically plays this poorly in a situation where your best man is running straight at these guys, killing everybody in his sights. He is the only guy. He's a one-man army, and you can't help him out.
It's just, I think it's kind of a situation where it's the perfect cocktail, the perfect formula for disaster. Not only on Bandscoast end, just playing probably, I'm gonna say it right out here, the best I've seen this team play throughout all of their T3 qualifiers, throughout the TPL Winter Tournament, throughout their very brief stint in the group stage of Element 4. This is the best we have ever seen this iteration, especially with Stompin', and especially inside of Crucible, going up against 1HP that, in my opinion, with a lot of factors, both to the public eye and behind, that being hidden behind stats. They're just falling apart with little to no opportunities to salvage the sinking boat.
5 seconds to
I mean,
go.
and this is nothing to take away from Bandscoast because they've been playing almost flawlessly. Sure, yeah, some of those players are not contributing as much in the kills department, but they're there when you need them. Vic Vance, I talked about it before, was kind of just barely below positive, and now he's above that, getting his team a critical round win in a situation where they were just getting run through by one singular guy who has had enough of Bandscoast nonsense. Dementa is trying his damnedest to win them a singular round. But right now, Bandscoast just enabling their gunners in the best possible way, playing around each other, not panicking in a situation where things were not going right, and just light it up. Oh, Rice! On just a sliver of HP, Stockin almost had an opportunity to take one down, but is going to have to wait just a little bit longer.
I mean, there's also been a lot of opportunities where Bandscoast have been a little bit blessed in situations where they've kind of, been a missed opportunity, just like that one with Rice almost losing his life, but just a missed shot. You can see that Bandscoast is eyeing up this execution inside the B bomb. No Capitao canisters needed. Franklin will more than likely get this bomb down. Being paired with the supporting fire of his teammate, Slash, though, is able to eventually deal with him. But now 2 players on the rappel. Aiden finds one. Gold now down. Another one for Stompin'. A 2v4. Everything looks like a Bandscoast flawless map. Little to no opportunities. They do find Stompin'. Get essentially a 3v3 now with the revive. Fenrir is able to hop onto the defuse. Hold on a second. Gold does find one. Aiden able to shut him down. It's a triple kill for Aiden. Slash needs to win this 1v1. He does. Well, 10 seconds on the clock. Jumps out. It's Rice to shut him down, and Bandscoast, they complete not only the flawless day, going 3-0 in their matchups, but top it off with a cherry on top with a 7-0, a flawless victory against 1HP.
Flawless in every measure across the board, improving on some of the disappointing results from last week. Bandscoast come back with a surge of a vengeance, looking like a completely different team, bringing in Rice as a different kind of just look. And how much have they changed, Goose? We've talked about it all night long of just how much has this team just kind of evolved as a roster, going from a team of just very good mechanical players to now adding a little bit of depth in just terms of their strategy and team coordination, just enabling them across the board.
Well, gentlemen, when the boots hit the ground, it was an earthquake because they weren't running, they were stomping. You guys highlighted that they needed one to get it done, and they decided a clean sweep was better. Goose, 1HP needs something. What is it?
Honestly, they need a little bit of everything. We've heard some rumors about the roster. We've seen the effect of just not being able to really find everything, put everything together. The lack of an identity has been the main problem for 1HP, and they just don't have a solution to get them out of this hole that continues to get deeper and deeper every single matchup, every single game day. And unlike Bandscoast, they haven't been able to turn anything around whatsoever.
Yeah, well, speaking of Bandscoast, we've been talking about them all stinking night long. Serious, what changed in the last few days for this team to just absolutely, completely switch around their play style?
I think it's honestly just being a little bit more reserved, having with a little bit more of a presence of mind of what win conditions are throughout the round. That's kind of been the biggest thing for me, is just when you look at Bandscoast from last week to this week, now they have a better understanding of just what they need to do throughout the round. It's not just a matter of how many kills can we get to kind of take the bomb site as fast as possible. Now it's, okay, we need to clear this position, force this player out, and then get the kills onto them, enable our entries to get those kills, and then take that map control off of it. So now it's just a matter of how do you shut this team down, because with the way they've been looking on all 3 games today, they just look more synergized than we've ever seen them play before.
So 4 best of 1s today, and kind of changed some of the standings around dramatically. Yeah. Goose, walk us through the first 2 matches, right? You were casting those first 2, the overtime win in match 1, and then the start of the Bandscoast run.
Yeah, a lot of switch ups, not only from, the players and me switching from color to play by play. Outlast doing a phenomenal job, but bringing in this new iteration with both Nyx and Aim Key, just completely fixing a lot of their problems that, especially I looked at in my prep for today. Core, even with the addition of Brios, a lot of the same problems that they had from week 1 continued on, and obviously. Match 2, you can really see if you watch it for yourself. Bandscoast being able to shut down Friendship team after a very tough loss in Element 4, now leading into the Crucible, and very great start for them.
And then, serious, the last 2 matches day, you came in, you knew it was kind of going to be the storyline of will they or won't they with Bandscoast. What are your thoughts on the last 2?
I mean, I'm really surprised about how dominantly they beat Reality TV, because that was a matchup that I expected to be either more in favor of Reality TV or very close matchup depending on how their Friendship team game went. And because of how dominantly they won against them, it was just kind of just a showcase of what they can do later on against a team that is still kind of figuring things out, kind of changing things up, and still able to dominate them on one of their favorite maps to go on, and then just 1 HP. I mean, what more is there to say? They just absolutely dominated them in rounds where they shouldn't have won. They still won anyway. And then even more so, they just dominated rounds throughout, just playing off of each other so well and enabling gunners like Aiden to just really propel them over the line.
So, you talked about later on, Goose, where does that leave us? Group A, Bandscoast quite a bit closer to the top after their performance.
Oh yeah, actually, they are at the top. The only teams that can really knock them down are Slime Belief Friendship team, only playing 3 games, still in a well enough position to knock them down. But with these 3 wins, especially all in regulation, it does confirm Bandscoast into the playoffs, no longer even being in elimination risk territory or even in the play-ins. They are going straight to playoffs, skipping that extra play day this coming Saturday. And it's just a phenomenal way to do it all in 3 games in a row in one day, just finish it off like that. You can't really have it much better than that.
Okay, well, that was it. 4 best of ones that dramatically changed around some standings. We are in the last week of groups, so stay tuned, because through the fire, legends are forged. Thank you to the casters, thank you to production, the teams, and most importantly, thank you all for hanging with us for some incredible siege. But as there is no more, we at the Crucible wish you a very wonderful